What's going on, guys? Welcome back to part 15 of building Twitter using UIKit and Google's Firebase. So in this part, we're going to create the composer for our tweets so that user actually could provide some text and basically a button that says tweet in order for the user to be able to provide a text content for the tweet, and we're going to be able to push that to Google's Firebase. So without further ado, let's just get started. Alright, so first of all, I forgot actually to update the join date in the profile, so let me just do that really quick. So over here I just want to access this header view, and basically this join date label, basically I want to set that to something over here from the join date attribute that we have inside our user object. So I'm going to put all of this logic inside my view model. So over here I'm going to be typing something like view model dot get formatted date with, and I want to pass the join date, or basically the created on date over here. So I want to create this function over here inside my view model. So over here inside the profile view model, let's just go here and create this function really quick. So func get formatted date with, and I'm going to accept a date of type date, and over here we can just return a string. So over here let me just say let date formatter. Alright, and over here let me just provide the date formatter with the format that I want to get the string of the date from. Let me just remove this colon. So over here I'm just gonna write date formatter dot format, date format, as you can see here, and the format of the date that we wanna actually use is that it's going to write the 3 digits of the month. So this is what I'm looking for, and regarding the year I wanna have the full year. So basically this is the format that we're looking for. So let's say, for example, we are going to get this format of basically today. So today is going to be December, so DEC, and over here it's going to write 2022. And over here let me just say basically we want to actually return the string from that. So date formatter dot string from, actually. So as you can see here, it's going to return a string from date. So we can just pass in the date over here. Basically I just need to put that instead before the colon, and basically I can just pass in the date over here, and as you can see here this returns a string from that. So basically let me just return that, and I believe that's it. So over here Xcode is not gonna complain any further about this function because it's already there, and we just need to pass a week self over here. So everything's gonna be working right now. So let me just hit build and run to see. For sure it's not going to write December because we created this user, I believe, in October. So yeah, let me just see what will happen over here. Alright, so let's just go to the profile, and as you can see here it says October 2022, and we can just make sure that this is actually generated on the fly because the dummy text actually was joined May 2021. We can just append the word joined as well. So let me just go over here and add that. So we can just say joined, and over here let me pass all of this. So basically copy or basically cut this and paste that over here. Right, one more time, and basically we just need to say provide a default value. All right, so basically just gonna be an empty string. Running this one more time once Xcode decides not to be slow or anything like this. So all right, so let's just go back to the profile, and as you can see here, joined October 2022. So that is awesome. All right, so let me just go back to my home view controller, and inside of here I just want to add a new button basically that has the plus label on it, so that the user can press on it actually and start typing the tweet that the user wants to actually push to our Firebase Firestore. All right, so let me just say private let tweet button. or basically a compose tweet button. This is going to be a UI button, and over here, let me just say let button is equals to UI button. We've done this so many times up to this moment actually. So the type of this is going to be a system, and you know what, I can just easily change that to or basically leave that for this right now. So here we can leverage iOS 15 feature for the UI button, which is basically called the primary action. And inside the primary action, I could just add an action from here. So UI action, and basically I can just open a curly brace, say underscore in, and over here I could just provide the action of this button on the fly, as you can see here, without any errors. And basically we're just getting this error because we haven't returned our button yet. So yes, we can just say return button, and instead of adding a target for this button and basically an Objective-C function, so that we can just manually or basically on the fly add this action over here. And basically underneath that I could just normally configure my button. So button.translates auto resizing max into constraints that should be able to fall, so that we can use auto layout. And for the button, basically we can just say something like the background color, and I believe we have the background color copied so many times until this moment actually. If I went to the profile view controller and moved up in here, I believe I'm gonna find it somewhere. I believe it's going to be inside the profile table view header, right? And let me just see if that is available over here. So color for this, yes, basically this is the color for that. Basically I just want to make a new efficient way for handling my colors, so let me just cut that. Yes, I know Xcode is going to complain about that. And basically inside the Twitter clone over here, I'm just going to create a new folder, and let me just set that to the name basically the utilities over here. And basically I'm just going to create a new folder inside that utilities folder as well. So over here, let me just create extensions, and inside of that it's going to be a normal Swift file, which I'm going to call extension, right? So extension plus, yes, you can use the plus sign in the or in your folder or files naming. And over here I'm just going to say UI color, right? And let me just say something like extension, because this is basically an extension file. So UI color, and over here let me just say something like static let our blue, or basically Twitter blue color. And over here we could just use that as well. We could actually also leverage the XC assets from here and directly add the colors and then reference those colors by this method, or we could just add the RGB and the alpha values inside of here. And basically Xcode is complaining because we haven't imported UIKit. So UIKit instead of the foundation. UIKit has all the foundations needed. And basically you get the UI color extensions, so that when you go back to any color attribute, as you can see over here, you could just hit dot and you can say Twitter blue color, and that's it. We could actually use this in so many places. Like I'm gonna search my project for places that I've actually used this color. So as you can see here, we have this inside of the profile data. So yeah, we could just say Twitter blue color inside the login view controller as well. Let me just say Twitter blue color and the register view controller. And as you can see here, we could just use the Twitter blue color. And if you guys have been asking how did I search the entire project, it's just Command Shift and F. So button tint color for this is going to be also Twitter blue color, right? The onboarding as well. So yes, we've been talking about the same thing like so many times actually. And last but not least, this is the extension. I'm not gonna change that because I'm not going to reference myself. So yes, so I believe that's it. So let's just go back to the home view controller. So let's just move that and open controllers, home view controller, and inside of here I'm just going to set my background color for the tweet compose button to Twitter blue color as well. For the tint color though, we can just say something like white, and over here let me just get the plus sign. This is just going to be a UI image, which is basically a system image. I believe it has the name plus. And instead of, we can just use something like configuration with configuration. And over here, let me just say UI image dot symbol, or basically, I believe it's called symbol configuration. Yes, that's the one. And over here, you get something like the point size. Maybe we could try something like 18, and over here I'm just going to say bold. All right, so basically we can just use that plus sign as the image for our button. So button dot set image for the plus sign. This is going to be the plus sign, and here we could just say the normal state of the button, and I believe that's it. So let me just try to load this button basically inside the home view controller above the table view that has all the tweets. And over here we could just say something like tweet is being prepared. Right, let's just move down here, and above actually the table or the timeline table view, I'm just going to add this button. So compose tweet, I believe. So yeah, compose tweet button. And down there inside my basically we don't have yet a method for setting the constraints for that button. And as you can see here, actually we added the timeline frame inside of this method, so we can just actually create a new function for setting those constraints. So private, right, and let me just call that configure constraints, right, and over here we could just say compose tweet button constraints. Let me set that to an empty array, and let's start by populating this. So over here, let me just say compose tweet button dot trailing anchor dot constraints is going to be the view trailing anchor, and we're going to set basically a margin maybe of 25 points. We can just tweak that on the fly. And over here, compose button or tweet button dot bottom anchor dot constraints with the view bottom anchor, and we're just going to get that maybe some room like 120 points. Compose tweet button, let me just set the width anchor for this to be something like I believe 120, or I believe it's going to be too large then, so just 60 points. And compose tweet button dot height anchor, right, so compose tweet button dot height anchor, the constraints to 60 points as well, and let's not forget to activate those constraints. So compose tweet button, and before actually testing that out, it's going to be just a normal square. We just need to set that with a corner radius so that it looks like a circle. So button dot layer dot corner radius, set that to 30 points, and over here we just wanna basically clips that button to its bounds. So basically clip to bounds and set that to true. I believe that is going to work. Basically we have set it up the compose button that we're going to use to add our tweets. We chose a circle, or basically we chose a circle configuration by setting the corner radius over here to 30 points. We've added the plus sign and set the color for the background, and as you can see here, once basically it's still not working for some reason, because actually we haven't yet called the configure constraints functions. So basically we're going to call that after setting up the table view over here. So let me just hit build and run one more time, and yeah, once Xcode decides to open, or basically the simulator does, So yes, build succeeded, and we're waiting for the simulator for now, and I believe it's going to work. And as you can see here, we have our button that we could just tap on it, as you can see here, and as you can see here, tweet is being prepared. All right, cool. So what do we have to do next? Basically, we just need to add this controller for the user so that he could actually start by adding this tweet. So let me just create a new file over here. It's going to be a Cocoa Touch class because it's just going to be a new view controller. And over here, let me just say tweet compose view controller. It's just going to inherit from a UI view controller. That's all right. So let me just place that file inside my general folder, hit create, and over here I'm just going to delete all of these comments. I want to use it anyway, and here let me just say view the background color and set that to the system background color. We just need to add two things over here. First, we need to tell when actually the user taps on this plus sign, we just need to navigate to this compose view controller. So let me just do this inside of here. So maybe I could just write a function down here. So let's just say private func navigate to tweet composer, right? And as you can see here, we could just write something like let VC is going to be tweet compose view controller, and over here we could just add this to a navigation view. So believe I'm going to use the navigation controller dot push view controller. I'm just going to push the VC over here, and then or basically I won't push that from over here, but instead I'm going to actually put this inside navigation and basically present that instead of pushing that into our existing navigation controller, so it looks cooler. So basically it has all the features of the navigation view, or basically the navigation controller. Instead, it's not going to be pushed from the right, it's going to be presented actually from the bottom and fill up the screen. So over here, let me just say UI navigation controller and set the root view to tweet compose view controller. Let's just initialize that. And for the VC, we're going to change the model presentation type to basically full screen, and over here we could just say something like present VC and set the animation to true. We're just going to call this function as soon as this tweet is being prepared, actually activated. So weak self, and over here we could just say something like self prepare or basically navigate. Okay, since we actually couldn't access this method from here, let me just change that to a lazy var, and that gives you an access. So self.navigate to tweet composer. So that's it, it looks clean. And basically we could just use this as a starting point, or basically a reference to edit our tweet composer. So let me just go back really quick to my tweet composer over here. All right, and over here we could just start by typing something like the title, set that to create tweet, or basically tweet. All right, and over here let me just say something like the navigation item dot I'm going to choose the leading, or basically left bar button item. Yes, that's correct. And let me just set that to UI bar button item. Let me choose the one that has this title, and over here I'm just going to say cancel, and for the style I'm going to choose plain. Target, set that to self, and for the selector, did tab to cancel. Create this function really quick. So Objective-C private func, and add the name of that. And over here we could just say dismiss is equal to true. So basically this is how we're going to dismiss our tweet compose view controller. All right, so let's just create a new tweet button over here. So private let tweet button. I'm just going to set that as a UI button. Let's just set that really quickly. So let button is just going to be a UI button. of a type system, and here we can just specify that this button should be able to use or utilize the auto layout. So let me just set that attribute to false. And over here, I'm just going to set the background color for this button to be the Twitter blue color that we have specified earlier. And for the title, I'm just going to set the title for tweet. This is just going to be for normal state. And over here, I'm just going to assign a new corner radius, basically. So layer.corner radius, that should be around 30. Okay, so yes, and also we just need to make sure that this button clips to bounds so that we can see actually those radii. And here we can just return the button, and here I'm just going to call this function. So over here, I'm just going to add this button to my view. So button, or basically view.add subview, I'm just going to add my tweet button over here. So tweet button, and down there, let me just configure the constraints. And over here, let me just configure the constraints. So configure constraints, and I'm going to create this function really quick right here. So private func configure constraints, and over here I want this button actually to flow with the keyboard. We've done that earlier actually inside the data form view controller. So I'm going to create the same exact thing with the tweet button. So let me just set the constraints for that button over here really quick. So this is just going to be an array of constraints. So tweet button, I'm just going to set the bottom anchor to be constrained with the view.keyboard layout guide with the top anchor, and maybe we can just give it a padding or a margin actually of 10 points. We need also to constrain that button to the trailing edge of the screen. So view.trailing anchor, and this is just going to be a 20, or basically just 10. Let's just leave it for a 10. And for the width anchor, I'm just going to set that actually to a constant of 120 points. And for the height, I'm just going to set that to maybe 60, so that the corner radius is just going to be circular from the side. So tweet button dot height anchor, let me set that to 60 points. And over here, let me just activate those constraints really quick. So tweet button constraints, and let me just hit build and run to see what we get so far. I believe it's gonna look good. I'm basically trying to match as much as I can with the real design of Twitter app. So yeah, we can get the simulator over here once it decides to open. Not sure actually, but Xcode 14 is a little bit buggy. I haven't faced those issues in earlier versions, but I might be updating my Xcode when I get the chance. So let me just close the simulator and open it one more time over here. So replace. Alright, so as you can see here, we got our app loading. So yeah, it works both in dark mode and light mode. So let me just hit on the tweet composer, and over here you can see the button that we have. And here I'm just going to add my my text view in order basically to have a text area so that we can type in our tweets. Maybe I can change those dimensions for this button. So maybe I'm just going to stick with maybe 30 points for the height. I'm just going to divide that by 2, and I believe I'm just going also to change the tint color of this button to white. Set color, so yeah, set title color is just going to be white, and over here just going to be for normal. And I'm actually happy with the width of the button. So let me see what we get so far. I believe it's gonna look nice. Maybe 30 points is already enough. So yeah, maybe we can just pump that a little bit to 40 and change that to 20, and I believe that will look better. So over here we just also want to have a text view so that we can write down our tweets. So I'm just going to take that directly from the bio view controller over here. So bio text view, I'm just going to copy that over to my tweet composer view controller over here, and over here I'm just going to change that to tweet content text view. And over here, let me just type something like what's happening. Right, so what's happening, yeah, that looks okay. So over here I'm just going to add this view to my view actually. So tweet content text view, and over here we could just set the constraints for that view as well. So tweet text view constraints, let me just set that to an empty array, and let's just add those attributes. So tweet text content, I'm just going to set the top anchor to be the top anchor, or basically the safe area layout guide top anchor, right? That will look good. Tweet content text view leading anchor, just going to be set or constrained with the leading anchor actually of the screen. And yeah, maybe we can just add a padding of 20 points or 15 points. That looks okay. Tweet content or tweet content text view dot trailing anchor, constrained with the trailing anchor of the view, and add 15 points in the opposite direction. And here the bottom anchor is just going to be set to match the button which is going to be floating on the screen with the keyboard. So the result effect that you get is that the tweet text is just going to shrink and expand with the view because it's just constrained to that. So constrained with the tweet button top anchor, and maybe you can just add like a margin of 10 points in the top direction, and over here we can just activate those tweet content. All right, so let me just add this comma over here and build and run to see what we get so far. All right, so let's just tap on the tweet button over here, and as you can see here we have the place that where we can actually write our tweet. And as you can see here, if I expanded this, so basically this is just going to expand and shrink with my button. Right, so let's also remove this gray background color from this. So as you can see here, we could just use this text color. I believe it's not the text color, it's just going to be a background color. So yeah, this is the secondary system fill. So let me just remove that. It's just gonna look much nicer, whether it's on dark mode or a light mode actually. So let me just test and verify that really quick. So as you can see here, yeah, it looks so much better. And also we just need to set the delegate for this text view to be this controller. So let me just create the tweet content text view dot delegate. I'm just going to set that to self. And over here inside the profile data form view controller, we could just use this method as we did over here. So yeah, we just need to conform to the UI text view delegate over here. So let me just go down here and extend my tweet compose view controller to UI text view delegate. And over here, let me use this function that we have used earlier inside the profile data form view controller. All right, so basically those are the methods that we need. So I'm just going to copy this function over here. So let me just go back and paste that over here. So text did begin editing. I'm just going to remove this scroll view because we don't have a scroll view actually in this view controller. So I'm just going to change the text color from gray to label, and also I'm just going to clear the text. Let me just go back to my profile data form view controller. I'm just going also to copy this function as well. All right, so let me just go and paste that over here, and over here I'm just going to write again what's happening. Maybe you could just use a variable, but you get the idea. Let's just go back, and I believe we could actually create something like this. However, I just want to test if things are working actually. So let me just remove the scroll view as well from here. We don't have a scroll view inside this view controller. Let me just build and run to test if the UI for this tweet composer screen is actually working as it should be working. So basically, let me just tap on this button to create a new tweet, and over here, as you can see here, we can write everything that we need. I'm not just going to worry about the 140 letters that that Twitter actually uses. However, the text view offers me a room to scroll inside if I'm actually writing a tweet on multiple lines. So yeah, that looks great to me. And right now, let's just take care of the logic that we're going to use in order for us to upload this tweet to Google's Firebase. I'm kind of happy with the design overall. Maybe we can change this tweet label to basically a semi-bold. Maybe we can do this really quick over here. So let me just try to say title label. So title label dot font. I'm just going to set that font to basically 18 and semi-bold. Let me just see what that will look like. I believe it's just gonna look so much better because the regular actually does not look that good for action buttons like a tweet button. So yeah, tweet, maybe we can just decrease that to maybe 16, and I believe that will look good. All right, so right now we just need to add our view model, which is going to be responsible actually for pushing that tweet to the server. And before that, also we just need to create a model for the tweet itself. So let me just create a new file over here. It's just going to be a normal Swift file, and I'm going to call that tweet. All right, so as you can see here, we're just going to create a new struct, which is going to be called tweet. It's just going to conform to the codable protocol. And over here, let me just define that this tweet should have an ID of type string. This tweet should have an author. So the author of the tweet is just going to be a Twitter user. And as you can see here, the Twitter user as well conforms to the codable protocol, so that our Firebase extension will actually be able to decode this. And since Firebase actually is based on a NoSQL database, so it's totally fine to duplicate data. So we're gonna have an ID, an author, and also we can have a tweet content, which is going to be a string. And over here we could just add a new variable. Let me just set that variable to something like count, which is going to be an integer. And over here I believe I'm just going to add basically a variable, and that variable should be likers. So basically, so those are the people whom actually liked the tweet. So maybe we could just make that really simple by adding this as array of string. So yeah, array of string looks good. All right, so also we just need something to identify with if this tweet is just a normal tweet or if it's a reply tweet. So let me just set that to isReply. That should be a boolean. Also yeah, that's it for this type. And over here we could just add something like let parent reference. So basically, if this tweet is a reply, then it should have a parent. Otherwise it should be nil if it's a normal tweet. So basically, parent reference is just going to be a string, which is going to hold an ID for the parent tweet. And I believe if something comes to my mind, we can actually tweak this a little bit more. So basically, each tweet should have an ID, an author, which is a Twitter user, tweet content, likers count. Maybe we could show that. Until this moment we don't have a counter for the likes, but we can do so. And over here we have the likers, isReply, and basically parent reference. So over here, let me just go and create my view model. So I'm just going to create a new Swift file. It's just going to be called basically I just need to copy this name. So let me just cancel and go up in here, and tweet compose view controller is just going to be tweet compose view model. So create a new file, paste that name, and over here instead of controller I'm just going to add view model. Right, so basically just going to be a final class. Right, so let me just say view model. This is just going to be conforming to the observable object. And over here, let me just import combine and add my subscription set. So private var subscriptions, which is going to be a set of any cancelable. Set that to an empty array for now. All right, so over here also, let me just make a small validation before actually enabling the tweet button. So over here, let me just set published var is valid to tweet. Let me just set that to false by default. And over here also, I'm gonna make a new function over here so that I can retrieve the user. So we can just do something like get user data. And over here, we could just populate this private variable over here. So private var, I'm just going to set that to Twitter user, which is going to be an optional for now. Or basically, I believe we have an, yeah, we could just leave it as optional for now. And over here, let me just say database manager.shared.retrieve. I'm just going to retrieve my user by the ID. So over here, let me just import a Firebase auth. And over here, let me just add that to guard. All right, so guard let user ID. This is just going to be of equals to auth.current ID.user ID. Else, if we didn't find any, we could just return. And over here, let me just pass in the user ID and then sync over that so that we can get the completion. We've done that so many times up till this moment already. So weak self is just going to be a completion. So if the completion, so basically if case.failure, we're just going to retrieve an error from here, which is going to be a string. And that in case of this completion is just going to be equals to this failure. So let me just pass in the completion down here. And maybe we can just add a published variable, which is going to contain the error, which is going to be empty for now. And over here, let me just say something like self.error, which is going to be equals to error or the localized description for this error. And over here, as you can see, we can get the user, so weak self, or basically we can just try the unowned self as well. All right, so yeah, the unowned self, so that we don't have to reference that with an optional or anything like this. So as you can see here, we could just write, yeah, this is just an error, right? So yeah, our Twitter user, let me just get that from here. And down here, we can just reference this. So self.user is just going to be the Twitter user. All right. And I believe that's it. So we just need to store this somewhere. Let error, yeah, we could just remove this all together. So basically it's just if case failure, we can just retrieve the error from here. And over here, we can just store that in my subscription set. If you don't know actually what this unowned self, you could just change that to weak if you want, because it's just not going to make much of a difference right now if it's just going to confuse you or anything like this. Both are going to work normally. So basically, once we load this view model, we just need to somehow get the user data from here. So let me just go back to my tweet compose view controller, and inside of here we can just use that to create the view model. So let me just create that. So private var view model, which is going to be a tweet compose view model. All right, and down here we can make we can make use actually of this function. So view will appear. So before actually the view is appeared on the screen, we just need to make sure that we have this reference for our user. So maybe I can do something like get user data from my view model. So once the user basically sees the UI stuff on the screen, I'm gonna be sure that the view model over here has an instance for this Twitter user. If it doesn't have any reference and the user clicked on tweet, it's just going to return from here. And also we just need to validate that this tweet is actually valid. So over here, let me just say something like func validate to tweet, or basically is, yeah, validate to tweet. So basically that's it. And over here we can just say is valid to tweet. This is going to be also we just need to define a new variable that holds the tweet content actually. So let me just say something like var tweet content, which is going to be an empty string for now, and the is valid to tweet is just going to be basically the inverse of is empty for this tweet content. So the tweet content is empty. This is going to be the inverse of that. So if the tweet content is empty, that means the validation is false. It's not true. So let me just go back in here and bind my views to that. So let me just create this function really quick. So bind views, and over here, let me just say something like private func bind views. Right, and over here, let me just first of all disable that. So is enabled, that should be false. And down here, I'm just going to reference my view model dot is valid to tweet. I'm just interested in the publisher version of it, so sync over that. And also, I just need to sync without the completion. So let me just return the state. And over here, let me just say something like weak self. So weak self. Let me just reference that button. So tweet button dot is enabled, which is going to be equals to the state of that. Also, one more thing that before we test everything out. So yeah, over here, down here, actually, we just need to consume the text view did change. And over here, let me just say view model dot tweet content, which is going to be equals to the text view dot text. And once we set the text view of that, so we just need to run our validation. So validate to tweet. So I believe that's it regarding the validation. We just need to store this somewhere. As you can see here, it's sync receive value is unused. So over here, let me just initialize my subscription as well. So import combine. And over here, let me just say private var subscriptions, which is going to be a set of any cancelables. Initialize that as an empty set for now. And over here, let me just store that inside my subscriptions. Right, so yeah, that's the one, not this one actually, subscriptions. I believe I have misspelled that. So yeah, subscriptions. All right, so let me just copy that and paste that over here. All right, so I believe this should be working. Let me just hit build and run to see if that is working in action. So once my simulator decides to open, let me just open that up really quick over here. All right, so let me just test that really quick. So let me just tap on the tweet, and as you can see here, it looks nice over there. And basically, it's as you can see here, it doesn't do anything. However, if we decided to write anything like this, so this is my first tweet. And as you can see here, whenever we type on that, yes, this is actually working. However, we just need to change the color for this. As you can see here, let me see for the tweet button. Right, so for the tweet button, set title color is white for the normal, and basically button dot set title color. Right, this is just going to be a gray basically, or basically white with an alpha of 0.7, let's say, for example. And here it's just going to be for the disabled. So if the button state is actually disabled, it's just going to be a slightly dimmed white color. So it looks much better than this. This is just the first time that we actually do something like this. So let me test that if that is working. And as you can see here, yeah, basically the tweet, it's now looks like it's dimmed over here, and whenever we type anything, it just goes back live again, and then we can actually tap on that button. All right, so let's just do the networking part so that we can actually see the tweet on Firebase. All right, so basically we coded the model for our tweet, and basically we can change that really quick to something like a variable ID, which is going to be UUID. All right, and then we can just get the UUID string. So basically, we don't have to specify an ID whenever we create a new instance from this structure over here. It's just going to be initialized by default. All right, and let's just go to the database manager, and over here I'm just going to create a new function. So this function is just going to be called collection tweets dispatch tweet. So basically we're sending a tweet, which is going to be a tweet. And over here we can just return any publisher with Boolean flag, for instance, and here an arrow if there's any. So let me just create really quick the tweets path. So the tweets path is just going to be a normal string, and I'm just going to set that to tweets. And down here, let me just say database.collection, and I'm just going to reference my tweets path. And over here, let me just create a new document. This document should have a tweet ID, or basically a path of the tweet ID. And here, let me just set the data from encoder and basically pass in the tweet that we get over here. And basically we could just copy those two lines from here so that we can conform to this form, or basically this function signature. And as you can see here, we are good to go. We can use this function actually from our view model down here. So let me just go back to my tweet compose. This is not the one. Yeah, tweet compose view model. And over here, let me just say something like func dispatch tweet. All right. And since our button is not going to work unless this is actually returning true for this validate to tweet, so we're good to go. We can just create our tweet for over here. So let tweet is equals to tweet. And as you can see here, we can just pass the user. So let me just guard let, or basically unwrap this with a safe way. So guard let user is just going to be if a user, else we can just return. And here we can just pass in the user. And for the tweet content, let me just pass in the tweet content. The likes count is just going to be 0 for now. This is a newly tweet. Likers, no one did, so it's just going to be an empty array. Is reply? No, this is not this is not actually a reply. We're going to change that later. Whenever we tap on the reply, we're going to assign that flag from outside the view model. And over here, parent reference is not a reply also, so it is a parent tweet. So yeah, that's it. This is how we initialize it. So basically, we'll just initialize it with an author and also a tweet content. And over here, we can just say something like database manager.share.dispatch tweets, or basically collection tweets dispatch tweet. And over here, we can just sync and get that by basically copying this weak self completion. I'm just going to take everything set in here. And on here we can just get the state, and we can just listen for this state, and if it's true, actually we can just dismiss the view controller that we're in. So over here, let me just say something like published variable should dismiss screen, or basically should dismiss should dismiss the composer, which is going to be a boolean of type false for now. And over here we can just reference that over here using my weak self. So self dot should dismiss composer, this should be equals to the state, which I'm guaranteeing is just going to be equals to true. Store that basically in your subscription set, and you're good to go. Now you go to your tweet composer view controller, and basically we just need to add a new target for this tweet button. So over here, let me just say something like tweet button dot add target self selector, right? So selector did tap to tweet, and over here let me just choose something like touch up inside. All right, so let me just create this target really quick. Objective-C private func did tap to tweet, and over here we can just say something like view model dot dispatch tweet, and that's it. So it looks very clean. If I tap to tweet, then I should dispatch the tweet to Google's Firebase, and that's it. And one thing before we actually test this out to see if it's working, we can just say view model dot should dismiss composer. I'm only interested in that, so on the publisher one, so we can just sync with the received value. And here success, if success, so if that is equals to true, we can just dismiss the view controller altogether. And yeah, that's it. So let me just make sure, yeah, basically we just need to reference that with the self, so weak self. All right, so I believe this should be working, and over here we just need to store that somewhere inside my subscription set, and we are good to go. Now we've been coding for so long, let's just test that out and prepare Google's console so that you can see actually the tweet in there. So let me just open up the console for my app, and then we can just go to Firestore database, and inside here, as you can see, you're gonna see the collections of your users, and whenever we add a new tweet over here, it's just going to populate here once we refresh. So let me just tap in here, and let me just type something like this is my first tweet, hello world. All right, and then click tweet, and as you can see here, it gets dismissed. That means we retrieved a true value for the state. So let me just refresh that really quick, and as you can see here, we get a tweets collection, we get a tweet, and over here we get everything set up. So as you can see here, the likers, basically it's just an empty array, likes count, and here is the tweet content, and over here we can just retrieve the author of this tweet, which is my account. So basically, as you can see here, we can just retrieve those information back and actually start by populating finally our home table view over here. So basically, in the next part, we're going to get rid of all of these dummy data, and instead we're going to retrieve real data from Firebase. So that's it for this tutorial. If you liked what you just saw, please hit that like button, consider subscribing to my channel, and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section down below. Once again, that was Amr, happy coding and stay safe.